Imagine if you were a professor working at one of the country's top academic institutions and your honest and well-researched work was constantly being met with investigations by your employer, scrutiny and endless allegations because it didn't favour their agenda. Well, Professor Joanna Howe from the University of Adelaide Law School knows this pain all too well. Since sharing her academic research on abortion 2 years ago, she has been met with an avalanche of complaints by pro-abortion activists. This has led to 5 investigations by the university, an agonising 2 years of scrutiny, and yet she has never been found guilty of any misconduct. Now, the University of Adelaide has ordered her to complete an anti-bias course and given her 30 days to do it, would you believe it? But Joanna isn't prepared to give her academic freedom away to appease the radical left. And I'm pleased to say she joins me now. Joanna, thank you so much for joining us this evening. You've been the subject of 5 workplace investigations by the University of Adelaide that you say are determined to cancel you. Look, take us through this. What exactly are the complaints against you?
So, first of all, I think it's important to say that I've actually been at the University of Adelaide for over 13 years and I've never had any problems. In fact, I've had a stellar career as a researcher and was promoted to professor before the age of 40. So, I think it's important to acknowledge that this is a recent phenomenon and it's happened in the last 2 years because activists outside the university are weaponising the complaints mechanism against me. I built my academic career looking at vulnerability in terms of temporary migrant work, and as part of that the federal government appointed me to review the migration program. But 2 years ago I started disseminating my research on abortion, which is from a critical perspective, online on social media. So through my handle at Dr. Joanna Howe on Facebook and Instagram, I started sharing deeply uncomfortable research if you're from a pro-abortion perspective. So I shared about how Australia's laws allow abortion up till birth, so through all 9 months of pregnancy. I also share how babies who are born alive after an abortion can be left to die in certain states. For example, in Queensland in the last 3 years, 149 babies have been born alive after an abortion and have not had a legislated right to care. So the avalanche of complaints has actually come from pro-abortion activists outside the university, not from my students about anything I'm doing in the classroom. And what they are doing is seeking to get me cancelled, seeking to cause trouble for me at work. And instead of dismissing these complaints out of hand, the university has chosen to look at these complaints and has put me under intense scrutiny over the last 2 years. And it's just been untenable, and it makes a mockery of the idea of academic freedom.
And, we've seen this time and time again. As soon as there's a view that's considered out of the mainstream or a little bit different, it's this cancel culture we're seeing everywhere. I just find it extraordinary. And even more extraordinary, you've been ordered to complete an anti-bias course. What on earth is this?
So, look, you're not going to believe this, but on the 24th of January this year, I received an email from my boss letting me know that I'd been cleared of the 4th investigation, which had been launched in December and been motivated by an avalanche of TikTok activists complaining to my university about me around misrepresentation of facts. Less than 2 hours later, I received another email from a different department in the university on the same day telling me that a new investigation had been opened up on research misconduct. Now, this investigation was again prompted by an individual outside the university, and yet the university chose to take that complaint forward and subject me to an investigation that lasted for 4 months. And at the end of the day, that investigation actually cleared me. It found that there was no breach of the Australian Code for Responsible Research. So, that was a relief after going through 4 months of this investigation. And yet, instead of following its own policy, which says that if there's no breach, the case must be dismissed, the university ordered corrective actions and said I had 30 days to complete an anti-bias course, which of course, I felt I could not do because, this was a complaint that should never have been investigated. The investigation found I did not breach the code. The university has an obligation to protect my academic freedom. And yet here they were holding me to a different standard to what they hold other academics who comply with the orthodoxy of the radical left. And like you said in your question, you know, this is cancel culture at its finest. It's people from the radical left seeking to make the lives of other Australians who dare question the orthodoxy deeply uncomfortable. So, you know, I felt like I was left with no choice because my conscience wouldn't allow me to do this course. And so the 30 days have passed, and now I've put in this application to the Fair Work Commission and asking them to intervene to stop the university bullying me by allowing activists to weaponise complaints against me.
You know, for me, I just find this funny because the university allowed a pro-Palestinian encampment on its grounds in recent months, of course, are all in the name of so-called free speech. But you, on the other hand, have been silenced because of your research, your own right to free speech. How do you feel about the double standards on display?
The double standard is really underscored by the fact that if you don't contest the orthodoxy of the left, then you're allowed to pretty much do whatever you want and there's no questions asked. But if you're on the side of critical thinking and daring to critique left-wing ideology, then you are constantly scrutinised and harassed. And, you know, I'm doing this not just to fight for my job, but I'm doing it to fight for our freedom, for all Australians who are sick and tired of the bullying and the harassment of the radical left who expect us all to comply with their woke religion. You know, we don't live in a totalitarian state, we live in Australia. And so I am going to do everything I can to make sure that the university that I work for is built on academic freedom, because that's a fundamental component of any democracy.
Well, look, all the power to you for taking them on. It's just an absolutely bizarre set of circumstances. Joanna Howell, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with your fight, and we will be keeping in touch.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Danica.